Hello, everybody. Hello. Happy Saturday. Um, I hope everybody is doing well. Um, this has been a really, really good week, as in productivity, but it's been kind of a draggy week, as far as I don't know. It's just been one of those weeks, and so we've made it. We always have those weeks that are not as good as other weeks, but still blessed to be here, blessed to see another day and another positive tea with Fee. So thank you all who are here tonight, and I'm wishing you guys all the best. And I hope that you guys have had productivity this week. And um, this is the holidays. And so it's bittersweet for a lot of us in so many ways. But one thing I will say is those hard weeks, they kind of challenge us to find our way in other ways. And that's something that we talk about a lot on the show. And it's something that we talk about and deal with a lot in life. So I'm blessed. So today, the title of this show, of course, is positivity, positive outcomes. That's what it's all about, is positive outcomes. And positivity is something that it's pulled me out of a lot of situations. you know um for those of you who've been following the show for a while, you know my story, on a lot of things, and my story and testimony when it comes to a lot of different areas of my life. And so I'm very transparent about a lot of things, and let's just get started. You guys know that on the 9th of December, I turned 40. And so I started a challenge a few weeks ago, 40 to a 40 challenge. And it started out, it was absolutely amazing. There weren't many challenges, it was fresh and new. The area that was most challenging for me was getting back in that exercise routine. So my dad, he actually wrestled and boxed and played a little bit of ball when he was in school, and he was, doing involved in a lot of community things as well when I was growing up, like basketball tournaments. So some form or fashion, I've always had like, some fitness in my world, and so as you get older, you do things but you kind of get out of the routine, I think, a lot easier. And so you have to really put yourself somewhere where you can, pretty much be balanced, if that makes any sense. And so, with that being said, that was a bit of a challenge for me. But nevertheless, here recently, I'm going to say that this week was pretty tough. And so the first thing that I want to talk about is tough times and positive thoughts. Um, I know that a lot of you know that my dad was in a car accident last year that's been very challenging for my family in a lot of ways, and it's allowed me to reach myself in ways of self development and things that I've just never, been able to accept about myself, about my life, about my journey before. Um, and it's been rough for him this week, and so it was rough for me. My dad and I are extremely close, and there were some struggles that he had emotionally this week that were a bit challenging for me. It's been a journey where I have definitely been there for them, as been here there for him and my mom and the rest of the family that's been affected, as much as I could be. But this week has definitely been something that I'm going to say has been, extremely hard. for him. And whenever you're dealing with someone who's dealing with a tough time, it's always something that's a struggle, not just for them, but for you. And so this week really put me to the test, and I really had to use a lot of my own self development, a lot of my own self assurance on myself. I have been having to change the times that I wake up. Um, I've had to also deal with um, listening to the hard things that he's had to say. And the best thing that I feel that I've learned out of the situation is no matter what, being a good listener to someone else when they're going through something is more important than responding with the solution. Because the irony of the situation is when we're dealing with tough times that we're helping someone through or tough times ourselves, some things don't have a solution. Some things do not have a that all be all answer. And so being a good listener when you're going through a tough time that somebody else is dealing with is is the best thing. Another thing that I found that is extra important is being able to pray with them. You can never fail in a tough time in prayer. And the reason that I say that is in saying that some things don't have a solution, don't some things don't have a quick fix, a quick step for a resolution or a plan of action. Prayer is going to be something that cleanses the spirit, reaching out to whoever you feel is your higher power, whoever you feel uh, is 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 uh, is the voice above uh, the man upstairs, whatever you want to call him. I speak from a Christian perspective, and so does my dad. And so, with that being said, in tough times, prayer is important. Making sure that you get plenty of rest. Your toughest of times is not going to have any positive silver lining, lemonade from lemon if you don't rest yourself. It is very tiring, like running a marathon when you're dealing with any type of tough situation that's stressful. So you're going to have to figure out a way to relax yourself. I found also this week and other times in my life that when you're well rested and when you find a way to kind of um, exhale, if you will, you are going to be able to deal with things better than if you're dealing with the 4 hours of sleep or the not taking time to sit down. During tough times, you need to make sure that you have enough energy to pull from. These situations require mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual energy that is not going to be something that's typical for you. And so, because you're in a situation that's not typical, you have to handle yourself in a different way. Normally, maybe you can go with 5 or 6 hours of sleep. But when you're dealing with a tough situation and you want to make sure that you maintain positive thinking, even if the situation is not positive, you're going to want to make sure you're drinking something to keep yourself hydrated. Make sure you're eating a balanced diet, even if you don't have an appetite, and making sure that you're figuring out a way to relax. Now, I know that when your mind is wandering and you're really emotionally wound up and mentally not in focus, it's really hard to go to sleep. but you're still going to need to try to center yourself and relax. And for those of us who sometimes might have trouble with that, um, hot tea is good. Hot bath, warm shower. Those are going to be things that really keep you relaxed. So, those are some things that will definitely help when you're dealing with a situation that's really tough, but you want to be able to still pull from yourself, and really be there. And even if it's just listening, you're still taking in that energy. And so, if it's your situation, you're taking in that energy because you're dealing with it, whatever it may be. And if you're trying to be there for another person, keep in mind that whatever you're pulling in is going to take from you. So it's going to be an exchange of energy. And so you can't give from an empty cup. So the more you try to take care of yourself, even though you might feel like, oh my goodness, I only got 3 hours of sleep. But if you were resting, attempting to is going to be better than pacing the floor and things like that. You know, you really want to try to center yourself as much as you can. And that's easier said than done. But during those tough times, if you want to maintain positive thoughts, you're going to have to find a way to replenish yourself and just kind of woosah, if you will. And that's really helped me a great deal. So the second thing that we want to talk about is raising the roof on negativity for positive outcomes. So, when you're in the tough times and you're trying to maintain positive thoughts, but the situation is not just difficult, but the situation is negative. Okay. So, when we say we're raising the roof on negativity, this doesn't necessarily mean intentional negativity. This could just be a situation that's unpleasant. And a lot of times, those unpleasant situations, there is no way that you can avoid something negative as a result of it. You know, the situation with my dad, of course, he has his days where it's just really hard for him and he's, sinking deep into depression or he's getting discouraged. He always bounced back, but he has his moments where he's definitely deep into it. And so a lot of times when, he needs to vent or he needs to talk about things, you know, it can kind of leave a little bit of a negative residue. And we all do that when you really think about it, even with being positive individuals or individuals who rely on a higher power to give us the strength, or in any situation having that go-to that we all want to do or try to do to just get out of that funk of whatever the situation or circumstance may be. And sometimes there's still going to be negativity or unwanted residue that comes out of those situations. And so, first thing we need to do is accept the fact that no matter how positive you are, there's going to be some things that bring negativity. And so to raise the roof on that, we're accepting it, but we're not staying in that. We're not staying in that. And that's one thing, even now, that I have always respected about my father is he may be in a situation that has some negative aspects to it, and he may have his days, but one thing I've learned from him is he never stays in a negative spot. He never stays in the negativity. So once you accept, this is a situation where negative things are going to happen. This is a situation where negative things are going to cross my mind. This is a situation that are going to always have some type of negative attributes. Then you decide not to stay in that spot. And then the third thing is to keep saying it's going to be okay to yourself. And that for me has always been the hardest thing because when you're in the midst of a storm or a difficult situation, it's so mentally and emotionally draining. I have found personally, it's almost like you want to stay mad, you want to stay discouraged, you want to stay disappointed. Give yourself permission to be down in the dumps for a period of time. Okay. You set yourself there, and this is what I do. Depending on the situation, we're going to go to the extremes. I usually give myself at least 24 hours minimum. Okay. And 72 hours maximum to sulk, to be sad in the extreme situations. When it gets to the point where you're past that 72 hours, you need to start forcing yourself to read positive materials. You need to start forcing yourself to write down positive thoughts, even if it's not positive about the situation, there are still positive things and a lesson that you've learned. Even if that lesson is simply to overcome despite negativity, it's still something positive that has come from that negative situation, from that negative emotion. Even if it's just saying, you know what, Felicia, this was bad, but we got through it. You know what, Felicia? This almost took us out, but it didn't take us out. You know what, Felicia? This was sad and we cried today and we got out of focus because we couldn't stop thinking about it. But you know what? Tomorrow is a new day. So we're stronger. There's always something positive, even though that's so hard to say and think. For years, I remember wanting to just blame the past on a lot of my decisions, the hurt from the past, the disappointment from the past, the letdowns, the people who'd hurt me, the situations that just seemed impossible to climb out of. But then I got to the point where I started putting limits on the time that I would victimize myself. I started putting limits on things. Now, with allowing yourself to have that time, not necessarily to embrace negativity, but during those times where you just want to focus on the hurt and you need a little bit of that time in a situation that negatively affects you, you need to allow yourself some time to be mad. You need to allow yourself some time to be down in the dumps. We need that. It's okay to be mad. It's okay to feel that. Where the issue comes in is when you allow your foundation to be shaken. And that's why you have to raise the roof on negativity because you don't want it to become a part of you. And the longer you sit in it, the longer you victimize yourself, the longer it's going to become a routine. We as human beings are creatures of habit. Our brains are very complex. So if you continue to tell yourself something or continue to lay in any type of negative, uh, discouraging, dark situation, no matter the cause, you're going to get used to having that outlook. So, by changing the way you look at things, you will not have the desire to have an extended period of negativity. And so, when you decide that within yourself, no matter what happens to you are not going to allow yourself to become a negative person. You are not going to allow yourself to see things with the eyes of negativity. Even though you may still have the eyes of realism, you may still have the eyes of hurt, pain, confusion, disappointment, or discouragement. By taking the negativity out of it, you may still have a sour lemon, but you're choosing to make lemonade. You may still have a headache of the loss of a situation, but you're deciding that you're going to try not to focus on the pain. You're going to try to figure out a way to change the narrative. And that's what being positive is all about is It's a way of looking at things. It's a way of looking at life. It's a way of viewing situations. And that's not saying that you're looking at the situation, as something that's not what it really is in reality. People get positivity confused with, being delusional or overly optimistic. And that's not the case at all. Again, there are some situations that are negative, but sometimes, even though the situation may be completely negative or completely horrible, you're still learning from it. Henceforth, the expression, what doesn't kill us makes us stronger. And so, the thing is, when you're in those situations, no matter what they are, if you learn something positive from it, even with it being a negative situation, you've raised the roof on the negativity of the situation because you're taking that lesson and you're becoming more powerful. You're becoming more aware, and in turn, you're able to become more positive because you've been able to change the narrative of that situation. And so you're no longer victimizing yourself. You're rising above it. And that's not something that's easy. It's not something that's always, a quick fix. We don't always have the answers. We don't always know what direction that a situation may or not be going in. But guess what? By choosing not to stay in that and choosing to rise above what may be something that could have took you out, took you down, or just completely disrupted the flow of you and your goals and your purpose, you're still able to raise the roof on negativity. And we have to be proud of ourselves because life can throw us some serious curveballs. And it's really been able to take me to another level. And so I just want to share that with you, and we can raise the roof on negativity. We're in this together. Like I always say, we're in this together. And I share my story with you to inspire because it's what I've lived. And this is what I've known to be something that's been a major help in my life. So I hope it can help you as well. The third thing that we want to talk about, what it all boils down to, is positive outcomes. You know, I started this podcast earlier this year in late July, Positive Tea with Fee. And since then, there have been people to reach out to me, uh, telling me how much I've inspired them and, how much they appreciate me being here. And I really want to uh, extend another thank you to you guys who have supported me on the journey. And last month, October, was a wonderful month as well. And I actually founded Positive Outcomes Ministries in late September. And a lot of you know I am an evangelist. I am currently training to be a pastor as well. So I'm kind of a pastor in training, if you will. And Positive Outcomes Ministries, the cornerstone for the ministry that God gave me is my life, the struggles, the things in my life that have been turbulent from day one. And as I sit here 20 days from turning 40, another decade in my life, another turning point for the next 40 years to make a difference. I have been a young small town girl not knowing anything. I have been a young small town teenager thinking I knew everything. I've been a college student wanting to know more. And then I've been a woman in my 30s with a toddler and the whole world for the taking. I had my son when I was 28 years old, and there are so many things in my life that I've chosen to go the hard way around. Uh, and then there's some circumstances that were unforeseen and out of my control. But to be transparent with you, uh, my attitude towards things, the hurt, the heaviness, the emotional expense that I caused myself over the years because I did not want to carry out my true purpose and to open up and flourish in the ministry that God called me to do. And so, with that being said, Positive Tea with Fee was the catalyst for that. Um, this is not a traditional way of holding a service. This is a podcast where we talk about real life things that go on. You know, I've been through so many areas of my life in my 30s where I have had no choice but to look up. And so many times in life, the things that knock us down are the things that get us up. And from the horrible uh, adolescent period, and yes, I'm sorry, I'm calling it what it is, horrible, to my turbulent 20s, I can honestly say that every single stage of my life, no matter how hard, no longer a shame. The good, the bad, the ugly, all of that, I'm no longer ashamed. And it's it's so refreshing to know that although my hero, my champion, my dad, my first love, the first man that I ever trusted, the man that I thought was, could walk on water, basically. Him being in a situation where he's no longer himself. He's here and he's still him, but I had to relearn him because for the first time in my life, my dad needs me more than I need him. And the changes that that brings is so powerful, so powerful because I love him so much. And to see him hurt and wounded, he's a strong, strong man, but it's taken me to another level. It's taken me to another level of trusting God and understanding that he is the ultimate father. He's my ultimate dad. And I don't like the situation, but I will tell you that from the situation of my father's accident, there's been a positive outcome because although I was so scared when he was in his coma, I was so scared when I didn't know how he was going to be or who he was going to be. It's brought us closer. He's able to retire early, although it was involuntary. We're learning things about one another that we never knew before. And I've had the strength to worship, to evangelize, and to do the things that my ultimate father, my heavenly father, called me to do. And so I'm saying to you, as I've said to myself many, many times, there's a positive outcome, even in the most horrible, scary situation. And that positive outcome is when the person on earth that I thought was everything is weakened. you know, it drew me closer to my Heavenly Father, and it drew me closer to understanding that my dad is human, just like every other man. And it gave me an opportunity once and for all to show him how much I love him, what he taught me, and how I can help other fatherless girls or girls who have fathers in estranged relationships, and how I can help other people, men, women, children. Had that not been the case, I can't honestly say that I would be here doing what I do, how I do it. So when I tell you that there's a positive outcome in any situation, somehow, some way, God still gives us peace. We can find peace even in the hardest thing. And the cornerstone of that is understanding that, you know, life is what you make of it, no matter the circumstances. Keep choosing to be positive. Next week, we won't have a show because I want everyone to be thankful and have time with their family. And, let's just not make this a holiday and a tradition, but something that we do normally. I'm thankful for my wonderful husband, Clark, who's tuning in. I'm thankful for my cousin, overseer, bestie, Diane, who's here. I'm thankful for all of my fans and followers who tuned in. And of course, Mike with Podcast 49 Network. Thank you so much for sticking with me and seeing my vision. You're awesome. And everybody out there, I want to thank you. Mainly, I want to thank God for being here. And I want everyone to have a happy Halloween. I'm sorry, not Halloween, Thanksgiving. And I'm going to see you the first Thursday in December, and keep it positive. Happy Thanksgiving. I'll see you then. Bye.